Have you ever wondered why some names seem to echo through history, carrying both fear and fascination? Lilith is one of those names, a figure cloaked in mystery and rebellion, sparking debates and inspiring stories for centuries. Lilith, a figure steeped in mystery and complexity, holds a significant place in demonology and popular culture, captivating the imagination across various cultures and religions. Originating in ancient Mesopotamian mythology, she is often depicted as a night demon associated with storms and disease, embodying the fears of the unknown. In Jewish folklore, Lilith evolves into Adam's first wife, who defies subservience and ultimately leaves the Garden of Eden, symbolizing female independence and rebellion against patriarchal norms. This transformation marks her journey from a demonized figure to a symbol of empowerment. Over time, Lilith's character has been reinterpreted in literature, art, and modern media, where she is often portrayed as a seductive and powerful woman, challenging traditional gender roles. Her presence in contemporary culture, from films to music, highlights the intrigue surrounding her persona, as she embodies themes of sexuality, autonomy, and defiance. This evolution reflects society's changing views on femininity and power, making Lilith a compelling subject for exploration. As we delve into her story, we uncover layers of meaning that resonate with ongoing discussions about gender and identity, inviting viewers to engage with her legacy and the cultural narratives that continue to shape our understanding of this enigmatic figure. Lilith's story begins in ancient Mesopotamian mythology, where she is closely tied to Lamazu, a feared demoness who terrified people with her lion-like features and deadly intentions. Lamazu was believed to harm pregnant women and newborns, striking during childbirth, a time already fraught with risk and uncertainty. In a world where medical knowledge was limited and childbirth often meant life or death, Lamazu became a symbol of the fears and vulnerabilities surrounding motherhood, and she was said to steal infants, spread sickness, and bring misfortune, making her a constant reminder of the fragile balance between life and death. People turned to rituals and amulets to protect themselves from her, revealing just how deeply her legend shaped their lives. This connection to Lamazu sheds light on Lilith's early image as a figure of danger and defiance. Both Lamazu and Lilith challenged societal norms, representing forces that could not be controlled or contained. However, as Lilith's story evolved, she became much more than a demon of fear. She transformed into a figure of rebellion, standing against the patriarchal systems that sought to confine women. Her journey from being seen as a dangerous spirit to a symbol of female empowerment reflects changing views on femininity and independence. Today, Lilith is remembered not just as a being of myth, but as a cultural icon representing strength, autonomy, and defiance. The link between Lamazu and Lilith reminds us how ancient myths continue to shape modern stories, reflecting ongoing conversations about power, gender roles, and the courage it takes to stand against the norm. These figures, rooted in fear and mystery, have become symbols of resilience and transformation, capturing imaginations across generations. Lilith's story as Adam's first wife comes from different versions of creation found in the Bible. In Genesis 1, men and women are created at the same time, which suggests they were meant to be equals. But in Genesis 2, Eve is created from Adam's rib, showing a different idea where the woman is seen as secondary to the man. This difference has led people to believe that Lilith was created equal to Adam, from the same earth, but she refused to accept a lesser role. Lilith's story highlights an alternative view of womanhood, one that values independence and equality. The Midrash, a collection of Jewish teachings and commentaries, expands Lilith's story and adds more detail. It describes her as strong-willed and unwilling to obey Adam's demands. She didn't want to live under his control, so she made the bold choice to leave the Garden of Eden rather than give up her freedom. This act of defiance made Lilith a powerful symbol of rebellion against male authority. Instead of staying in a situation that didn't respect her as an equal, she chose the unknown, showing courage and strength. Over time, different cultures have given Lilith new meanings. In many stories, she is seen as a rebellious woman who refuses to fit into traditional roles. Some even view her as a feminist icon, representing the fight for women's rights and autonomy. In modern times, her story resonates with people who advocate for gender equality and the right to live freely. Lilith's transformation from a demonized figure to a symbol of empowerment reflects how society's views on women and independence have changed over the years. Her story continues to inspire conversations about equality, identity, and the importance of standing up for yourself, no matter the odds. In the Talmud, Lilith is described as a powerful and dangerous demon who reflects the fears and worries of ancient Jewish society. She is often blamed for harming newborn babies and seducing men, which made her a symbol of chaos and a threat to families. According to the Talmud, Lilith roams the night, seeking revenge against those who cross her path. This idea turned her into a figure of fear and mystery, representing danger and disorder. People saw her as a warning about what could happen when rules and traditions were broken. Lilith is also connected to other demons in Jewish folklore, like the Shedim, who are male demons. These connections show how deeply rooted she is in the stories about supernatural beings. Lilith's image as a seductive and dangerous woman reinforced cultural fears about female independence and sexuality. In those times, a woman who did not follow traditional roles was often seen as a threat to the stability of society. Lilith became a figure people used to explain their fears about women who didn't conform to the roles of obedient wives and mothers. Over the years, Lilith's story has changed. At first, she was seen as a woman who wanted to be equal to Adam and refused to live under his control. But as her story was retold, she became more of a demon representing the dark and rebellious side of femininity. This change shows how society viewed women who stepped outside traditional roles. Instead of being admired for her strength and independence, Lilith was turned into a warning about the dangers of rebellion. Today, her story is still told in many ways. Some people see her as a symbol of empowerment, representing women who fight for their freedom and equality. Others continue to view her as a dangerous figure, embodying chaos and disobedience. Lilith's legacy shows how stories about women have been shaped by cultural fears and expectations. Her tale invites us to think about how society has treated women who challenge the status quo, and what that says about our views on power, independence, and identity. Lilith's journey from the Garden of Eden to becoming a demon is a powerful story of rebellion and transformation. According to different interpretations, Lilith's refusal to stay in Eden came from her desire to be treated as Adam's equal. Unlike Eve, who was created from Adam's rib, Lilith was said to be made from the same earth as Adam, which she believed made them equals. But when Adam insisted on being dominant, Lilith refused to accept the lesser role. Instead of giving in, she made the bold choice to leave the Garden of Eden, choosing freedom over a life of submission. This act of defiance had big consequences for Lilith. Her decision to leave and stand up for herself turned her from a potential equal partner to a feared and demonized figure. As the story goes, Lilith embraced her independence, but was punished by being labeled as a demon. She became associated with darkness and was blamed for many things, especially those that frighten people. In folklore, Lilith is said to prey on infants and pregnant women, turning her into a symbol of fear and danger. These stories reflect ancient fears about motherhood, childbirth, and the vulnerability of babies, which were very real concerns at the time. Lilith's connection to children is particularly striking. She is often described as a child stealer in folklore, representing the unseen dangers that come with motherhood. For a society that placed so much importance on family and childbearing, Her actions were seen as a direct threat to the structure of life. This gave her a terrifying reputation, but it also showed the deep anxieties people had about women who defied expectations. The story became a way to warn against women stepping out of their traditional roles as mothers and caregivers. Even though she is seen as a figure of fear in many stories, Lilith is also remembered as a symbol of strength and empowerment. She stood up for herself when no one else would, and refused to live under someone else's control. This dual image of Lilith, as both a feared demon and a strong, independent woman, makes her story complex and fascinating. Today, she represents more than just rebellion or danger. She's a reminder of how society has struggled to understand and accept women who break the rules. Lilith's legacy still sparks conversations about gender roles, power, and the choices women make to stand up for themselves. Her story is one that continues to inspire and challenge the way we think about independence and identity. During the Middle Ages, Lilith's story changed and grew, taking on new meanings that made her even more well-known. She became strongly connected with ideas of seduction and danger. Many stories from this time described her as a temptress who led men into sin. One of the key texts, the Alphabet of Ben Sira, made her role as Adam's first wife clear and focused on her rebellious nature. These stories showed her as both powerful and threatening, making her a figure who inspired both fascination and fear. But Lilith was also linked to Asmodeus, a famous demon in Jewish folklore. Together they were seen as symbols of lust and desire, reflecting fears about the power of female sexuality. This connection made her even more of a warning figure, especially in a society where women were expected to be modest and obedient. People believed that Lilith's influence could cause chaos and disrupt moral order. By associating her with other demons, these stories placed Lilith in a world of evil, portraying her as a source of misfortune and sin. The tales about Lilith were often used as warnings, especially for women. They suggested that defying rules or stepping outside traditional roles could lead to trouble. Lilith was shown as an example of what could happen when a woman refused to conform to society's expectations. These stories told women to stay in their place, to avoid being rebellious or independent, like Lilith. But at the same time, her story also showed her strength and refusal to be controlled. She stood out as a character who wouldn't settle for less than what she believed she deserved, even if it meant becoming an outcast. This made her both feared and admired. While some saw her as a villain, others saw her as a symbol of empowerment, someone who was unafraid to challenge the status quo. During the Middle Ages, Lilith became more than just a demon. She became a representation of society's fears about women's independence and power. Her story reflected the anxieties of the time, but also highlighted the struggles women faced when trying to break free from traditional roles. Even today, the image of Lilith as both a warning and a symbol of empowerment continues to influence how we think about gender, power, and morality. Her tale remains a reminder of how stories can shape the way we see the world and each other. Lilith's character has changed a lot in modern media, turning her into a symbol of power, mystery, and rebellion. She has appeared in many forms across books, movies, TV shows, and video games, showing different sides of her personality. One of the most popular versions is in Neil Gaiman's The Sandman series, where she is portrayed as a strong and complex character. In the TV show Supernatural, she is shown as a seductive demon, staying true to her historical image of being both dangerous and captivating. In modern stories, Lilith is often seen as a succubus, vampire, or other supernatural being. These portrayals focus on her themes of seduction, danger, and power. Her connection to female sexuality and independence resonates with today's audiences, especially as more people explore ideas about autonomy and breaking free from traditional roles. Movies like The Love Witch and The Lair of the White Worm bring out her dark, alluring nature. showing her as both fascinating and threatening. These stories often highlight her ability to charm and manipulate, making her a figure of both admiration and fear. What makes Lilith's story so interesting is how she challenges societal norms. In the past, she was a warning against rebellion and independence. Today, she has become a symbol of empowerment, inspiring people who want to push back against outdated ideas about gender and power. Her story reflects the struggles and strengths of women who dare to be different, making her relatable to modern audiences. Lilith's influence in modern media goes beyond entertainment. She sparks conversations about femininity, sexuality, and what it means to be a strong, independent person. Her character continues to inspire writers, filmmakers, and game developers who use her story to explore deeper themes. Lilith's journey from a feared demon to a celebrated symbol of empowerment shows how stories can change over time to reflect the values and struggles of society. Her legacy proves that she is more than just a myth. She is a timeless character who challenges us to think about identity, power, and freedom in new ways. Lilith and Lamia have a lot in common when it comes to their stories. Both are strong and mysterious figures from ancient mythology, connected to themes of revenge, desire, and transformation. Lilith comes from Jewish and Mesopotamian myths, while Lamia is part of Greek mythology. Despite their different origins, their stories are strikingly similar. Lamia was once a beautiful woman, but her life changed after losing her children to the gods. Heartbroken and full of anger, she was transformed into a demon who hunted children. Lilith, on the other hand, left the Garden of Eden because she refused to be controlled by Adam. She too became a demon, blamed for harming babies and luring men into sin. Both Lilith and Lamia share the image of a seductress, using their beauty and charm to captivate men. At the same time, they are feared for the chaos they bring. Their stories often highlight themes of revenge, Lamia's anger at the gods who took her children, and Lilith's defiance against the rules of Eden. These tales show how both figures turned their pain and rejection into power, but at the cost of being demonized by society. Their stories also serve as warnings in their respective cultures. Lilith and Lamia represent the fears of patriarchal societies, where women who didn't conform to traditional roles were often seen as dangerous. By standing up for themselves or seeking revenge, they became symbols of female independence, which many saw as a threat. Their connection to sexuality and rebellion added to the fear surrounding them. At the same time, their stories also reveal the struggles of women in history. Lilith and Lamia's tales are about loss, betrayal, and the consequences of breaking the rules. But they are also about strength and survival. Despite being cast as villains, they stand out as figures of empowerment, showing what it means to fight back when the world turns against you. Today, we can see Lilith and Lamia as more than just demons. Their stories give us a window into how ancient societies viewed power, femininity, and independence. By looking at their similarities, we can better understand the cultural fears and struggles that shaped their legends. Their tales continue to spark discussions about gender, identity, and the complexities of being a woman, proving that their legacy is as powerful now as it was centuries ago. In summary, Lilith's story is a fascinating mix of mystery, power, and transformation, making her one of the most captivating figures in mythology. She begins as a symbol of equality in the Garden of Eden, standing up for herself and refusing to be controlled by Adam. But over time, her story shifts, and she becomes a demonized figure, blamed for chaos and destruction. This transformation reflects how societies have historically dealt with ideas of female independence, sexuality, and rebellion. Lilith's refusal to conform to traditional roles made her both feared and misunderstood, turning her into a symbol of both danger and empowerment. Her journey from ancient Mesopotamian mythology to her role as Adam's first wife, and her later evolution into a powerful figure in folklore and modern media, speaks to ongoing struggles with gender and identity. She represents strength and defiance, but her story also serves as a reminder of the challenges women face when they choose to break free from societal norms. Her connection to other mythological figures, like Lamia, adds even more depth, touching on shared themes of loss, revenge, and the dangers of stepping outside expectations. Now that you've explored Lilith's incredible story, what's your take? Do you see her as a villain, a misunderstood figure, or a symbol of empowerment? And what do you think her story tells us about how we view power, independence, and rebellion, even today? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. Also, is there another mythological figure whose story you'd like to explore next? Share your ideas and let's continue diving into these fascinating tales together. Your insights are what keep these conversations alive and meaningful.